Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Action Jack, and today will be what I would say is my first review of a product, and that product would be the Hyperion 3s made by NYXC. I have had these controllers now for a better part of 2 or 3 weeks, and even with me playing with these controllers, enjoying the time that I've had with them for what they offer and for the price point, I will say I would automatically tell you up front, I would rate these a 7 out of 10. So let me go ahead and go into why I would even rate these a 7 out of 10, just not to, waste your time, and then we'll go into, your pros and cons here and there. So since the reveal of the Switch 2, I knew this device was going to be my main gaming device. So being an owner of the ROG Ally, the Odin 2, and even the Steam Deck, I was looking forward to Nintendo's new device and what all it had to offer. So while I was excited, there were some things that we knew the Switch 2 would change in the gaming world, but at the same time, we knew there were going to be issues. And one of the key issues that stood out first and foremost, even though the device was bigger than the original Switch, was the ergonomics. And look, I get what Nintendo was aiming for. I get what they were shooting for. And while most would say they failed in their design with a bigger Switch, one would have to take a look at and listen to what they were actually aiming for, right? If you do that, then you will see they really didn't fail in their mission at all. They actually succeeded in their mission. Portability is constantly changing as we continue to try and put more power in smaller devices. And if you look at the portable PCs they continue to release, we see at some point you have to go bigger, whether it's for screen size, battery, and all the internal necessary components, or just for comfort for most adults, right? Even if we could get the power of a 5080 inside the body of a GBA, ergonomic screen size and battery would still be an issue. So coming back to the Switch 2, from Nintendo's own mouth, Iwata had a vision to be able to get the gaming we enjoy in these set-top boxes and make it portable. Now, granted, I'm paraphrasing what he said, but that was still the gist of what his vision was, and that was to get us from the couches to being able to play anywhere with anybody. Hence, you look at the Joy-Cons and the Switch itself in this portable nature, while still providing us with close to and almost on par set-top box gaming with our PlayStations and our Xboxes, right? So even with me paraphrasing, I would say he still fulfilled his vision, and the people that are left behind are still pushing for his vision, and really we can kind of say that is leaning towards the future of gaming, depending on how you look at it. So with all of that being said, my initial point was that there was an agreed stance that ergonomics were not ideal for long handheld comfort gaming. Battery was another issue, but most with common sense understood that issue, right? If you're going to ask for more power, then you're going to need bigger batteries, and for bigger batteries you need bigger devices. So if you want comfort and some form of portability, you're going to have to kind of take cuts here and there. Even when we look at ROG Allies as well as Steam Decks and the Lenovo's with the Legion Go, their batteries are still not at a high clip. They're not above your 5 or 6 hours depending on what you play. They're still fairly in the 2 to 3 hour range, right? So with all of this being said, with Iwata's vision and what he did was great, there were still flaws in what he wanted. And then that's where the accessories in themselves kind of come into play. Now, granted, we all know accessories have been in gaming for a long time. Honestly, it feels like since its inception, whether it's a different type of controller, if we're talking about different types of accessories for dancing games, or if we're talking about attachments in the form of the Wii, right? They were very necessary in the field of gaming to either fix a flaw for a device or make something a little bit more personal if you're wanting to stand out from the rest, whether we're talking about shells or decals, or just simply giving a cheaper price point for everybody. If we're talking about our lovely Mad Cats that are no longer with us, while they were not as functional, they were still a cheaper alternative for those of us that wanted to play multiplayer gaming. So accessories are key, right? And when we talk about the Switch, the grip and the controller market is essential. Companies such as MobilePad, Hori, Benbach, and NYXC were names, minus Hori, that I had never heard of before the Switch, but made themselves a household name the moment that they started partnering with the Switch and started listening to the consumer base as into what they wanted. I would throw 8BitDo in there as well, because they really started making a name as far as I knew when it came down to the Switch controller as well when it came out. And we now know them as go-to household name, and they also make controllers, I believe, for Xbox. I'm not sure about PlayStation, but I know for Xbox and Switch for sure. So fast forward to this year, right? We're in 2026, and you currently now have MobilePad, Nike, and I think you pronounce it Cracked, CRKD. They're stepping into the ring to fill the void of the ergonomic issue, right? So now grips do exist with Satisfy and JSO, and there are other companies that really go out of their way to make grips. Those grips do not change your control structure. They just add ergonomics to the device. Now, depending on who you speak to, these ergonomics are more than enough. They're ideal, they're best suited. They don't need anything to change from the sticks or the buttons. They understand that the Joy-Con provides smaller buttons, they provide smaller sticks, and they don't have as much travel in them, but they're suffice enough to allow you to have some adjustment without paying a buttload of money for a new device. Now, with that being said, even with those grips, we have a different device, like I said, when it comes down to the Hyperion 3s. So if you take a look at them, they can disconnect. This would be the right joypad, if you will, and then this one would be the left joypad. And you can see inside of them, they are colored similar to how the Nintendo Switch 2 and then also the Joy-Cons are colored, right? Now, unfortunately, they don't have the mouse con situation, but nonetheless, you can see these fill out my hands very, very well. And you can hear the mechanical buttons are clicky, from the triggers to the face buttons themselves. And then as you can see, we have like the sticks, and they're coming on because I'm pressing the buttons. But then we have a proper D-pad. Now this one came with the little disc, but you can also swap this out for actual D-pad, which comes with it, right? So it came with the device itself. But all that being said, before I go too far into it and trying to show off the device itself or the controllers themselves, we're gonna go off pros and cons, right? So here is my list of pros and cons for the Hyperion 3s. For the pros, feels great in your hands. The mechanical buttons feel great. The D-pad is amazing. I find myself using this D-pad quite a bit, especially when I am playing more of your 2D centric games, whether it's Streets of Rage, I'm playing TMNT, Power Rangers, I believe Marvel Cosmic Invasion, things of that nature that feel better with the D-pad, right? You know, the C button is an actual real C button. If you look here on the controller, and I don't know if it's going to show up on the camera or not, but in the middle there is a C button. This is an actual C button. You'll notice a couple of other manufacturers will have either a C button or an M button on their controller, and it may not be a real C button. It may just be a micro switch, to where they've gotten it to where it'll do a micro function of inputs to get you to that C function, to where if I press this, no matter what screen I'm on, it's going to actually bring up the chat window. Now I know a lot of people don't really care for game chat right now on the Switch, but hey, I mean, I love it. It's a great idea. It's a great button to have, and I already paid for Nintendo Online anyway, so it's something that's very functional, so that's why I deem it as a pro. If you did spring for the carrying case, you do have the carrying case that, dare I say, is premium. You know, it comes with like a little lanyard here, as you can see, like the little custom zippers here. The inside of it has a place for you to not only hold your accessories, but also gives you the ability to hold your games as well. And you can put your Switch in here with the actual joypad controllers attached to it. So I decided to go with that, and I think in grand total, with the controllers and the case itself, it came out to like $110, but we'll get into the controller, well, the pricing a little bit later on. And then also, of course, you can dock this with the controllers on, and of course these are Bluetooth, right? So even though they are controllers that we see that we attach to the actual Switch 2 itself, to be able to actually substitute for the Joy-Cons, similar to the Joy-Cons, you can also use it as a Bluetooth controller, whether it be for the Switch itself, or if you want to use it for a different device. Like I said, these are Bluetooth controllers. Now on the back, they have the GL/GR buttons, but they don't function as GL/GR buttons. So I have the chargeable grip for the Joy-Con 2s, where you have the GL/GR, and they function as such. But as you can see, the two comparisons, so they look fairly similar. Let me get a better grip on these, but they look fairly similar. But when I take a look at these controllers in the field, this is gonna feel better, to where like this still feels great in the hands for the way that Nintendo has created this charging dock, if you will, or whatever you want to call it, charging grip. But still, the stick is right up under the buttons, and that's always been my problem, to where you can see this is kind of like an offset from the controller or the stick to the button, similar to like your standard controller would. Now that will be the end of our pros. Now going into our cons, as I mentioned before, I got these controllers and it comes with this centerpiece right here, the center grip, so it comes with it. And then I also got this case for 110. Now the reason or the way I got this for 110 is, one, they gave a discount for a bundle. Two, they're already on discount as is, which I got a feeling this is going to be a trick similar to what you'll see with most companies. They will put like this crazy high price point and then make it look like their device is always on sale. So it kind of entices you to buy the device because you think it's on sale. So it's a very smart tactic, but at the same time, it's a very like scummy tactic in a way, because that should be the original price and you're dressing it as if it is more expensive when in reality it isn't. So with the discount for the bundle, the discount for the device that they have on the site, and then also I use an affiliate code from 128 kilobyte not podcast, but the YouTube channel, and in grand total it came out to $110. Now here's the kicker and why I put this in a con area. These controllers by themselves with this centerpiece and without the case are $126.99. So that, in the most better part, $127 without tax, and I got free shipping, because I would have told up something for no free shipping. But $126. Now I'll be the first to tell you, you should have never heard me say 7 out of 10 for a $126 controller. Nowhere close. And I'm going to explain why I think this is not a $126 controller, which will continue up with my my cons. Now, for the record, before I move forward, there's another set of controllers that are similar to this. They kind of like the split design, right? Made by MobilePad. I believe those should be going out next month if you pre-order. I believe they have May on their website. Those are $40 or $50 cheaper depending on what version you get, whether it's the M12 HDs or the M12S. Either way, they're cheaper than these controllers, and I'm pretty sure you can find a content creator that's going to give you an affiliate link to make it even cheaper. But at the same time, not only are they cheaper, but I'm gonna explain a little bit later why I feel like they probably are better, and they probably should have been the controllers I went for. But we'll continue. So another con, the connector it comes with doesn't hold this controller very well. So if you all remember D-Brand, when they released their Kill Switch 2 for the Switch 2, the biggest issue a lot of people had was the disconnection. They went back, they did their revisions, and they fixed the issue, and they fixed everybody's problem, right? And the reason was because it didn't have a decent gap in between the controls, kind of similar to if you play when you play blank game, it will tell you they put a gap in there for a reason, right? To kind of protect the connector and do what you're supposed to do to ensure that the safety of the controller is fine. Now I'm gonna show y'all something. So see that? That's way too easy to do. This is not.
What the fuck, y'all? God damn!
You saw that, right? Hopefully I can block out the noise, but nonetheless, you can see there's nothing secure about that. So Niaxi, I need you all to fix that. And for the people that have already received your controllers, please honor them with a replacement for the money they have paid. Because by no means should your device cost this much and for it to disconnect from that centerpiece in that manner. Like I said, I don't even like using it, so I just don't use it at all. So I even went as far as to test to see if the original Joy-Cons, or Joy-Con 2s, do the same thing. They're kind of wobbly, but they're a little bit more secure, but they still do this little split. So it leads me to believe it's this connector, right? This connector is the issue. It's not necessarily the controllers, but it's a connector. So they need to do something about that, because that is going to cause a lot of issues and possible lawsuits. I can see it coming 100 miles and running. So please fix that. Now, vibration motor. The vibration motor in this thing is freaking ridiculous.
The vibrations from the cars. Oh, I love this car.
Like, it is beyond loud. I don't have anything on to run it right now, so you just have to trust what I'm saying. I've officially turned my vibration motors off. It's not worth it. It pretty much numbs my hand with depending on what I'm playing. So if I'm playing Mario Kart World, or if I'm playing Yuka Replayley, there's a lot of sections where there's a lot of vibration, and in that instance, that is a problem. Like, my hand was numb from how aggressive the vibration was. And there's only 2 levels, so like it's the full level, half level, and then it's off. So I tried the half, and the half in itself was still aggressive. And each controller has its own vibration motor, so you can adjust it per controller. But all in all, I turned it off in its entirety. So now, this may not be a con for some people, but this is a con for me, right? This kind of goes back to what I was discussing with Iwata's vision, right? When we talk about portability, this thing essentially now is like the size of a Steam Deck at this point in time. I don't have the devices here in here with me, but ultimately this turns into a Steam Deck. Now, for most people, they don't care. Like, it is what it is on that. It, you know, it's going to be the size it's going to be. Now, I'm not ever taking this out the house for real unless I'm traveling to go somewhere else. But ultimately, you know, you kind of lose that portability, or you lose like that small form factor the moment you add these controllers on, because not only are they wider, but they're thicker than the original Joy-Con 2. So, you know, it is what it is on that, and it's all up to preference in that regard. I already mentioned like the GL and the GR buttons are not mappable in the nature of like the original GL and GR buttons. Now you can map them through the form of turbo, but not through the GL or GR on the actual menu, right? This one's a minor gripe, but the sticks are Hall effect, right? They're very Hall effect, but for anybody that has tried the Pro controller, the second Pro controller with the glide sticks, yeah, whatever they want to call them things is magic, bro. So if you're accustomed to that, you're gonna notice that immediately, because even on the Joy-Cons, it's so smooth. Like, it feels like you never touch the center, and it's something that you have to experience. And the Pro controller, to me, feels even better because it's bigger sticks and you feel the glide on it. So it's kind of hard to go back to those regular sticks, even though they're Hall effect. And no, that does not mean that they cannot drift, because even these had cardinal snapping on them before those that got the prototypes early told them to fix it. So yeah, these still are subject to drift, if you will, but they just don't feel as smooth as those glide sticks that Nintendo has. They are freaking amazing. If you are still in the Amiibo camp, there is no NFC on this, right? And to speak to the rumble, there's no HD rumble. So that's just what it comes down to. Now, all in all, like I said, great controller. The centerpiece, not so much. No NFC, no HD rumble. The rumble that it does have will literally disable your hand. The price point, the whole 9 yards. So to kind of wrap this all up, because like I said, it's gonna be short and sweet, nothing crazy. The main question comes down to this: do I recommend these controllers? To be honest with you, with the mobile pad M12s, judging by how close they look to these controllers, I've never tried them, but judging how they look very similar, whether you're talking about like the rigid feel here on the triggers and the mechanical buttons and the whole 9 yards, along with the fact that mobile pad says that they figured out the glide technology for Nintendo with the silicone ring, so you're going to get that feel. And for people that have already tried out their controller that they've released that has that technology, they say that is spot on. So not only does it have the better sticks, if you get the HD variant, it has the HD rumble, not HD rumble 2, but it has HD rumble, which is still pretty good. It has a variant that has the C button, and also it still has 6-axis, or depending on which version of 9-axis as well, if you care about that. And it has a better price tag without an affiliate link. So with all that being said, no, I don't recommend this controller over what is going to be available just next month, if not already, right? I haven't seen any reviews yet, so that lets me know they haven't come in. Like, the day I got my controllers was the day I saw every review pop up, so I'm assuming we all got them either at the same time or roughly around the same time. So I just can't, especially for that price point. Like, if Nyxi brings that price down to on par with mobile pads or even under, for sure, yeah, I would recommend them because of how great the controls themselves feel. I don't want to take away from that. They feel great. It's just the middle piece is trash, the rumble is trash, and at the same time, the price is trash. Like I have to preface that, and I still can't remember for the life of me like why I chose these over the mobile pads. I forgot why I chose one over the other, because this also, forgot to mention, has a wake up function. Like, it can wake your Switch up, so that function is there, but I think the mobile pad has that as well. But with that controller right around the corner, I can't do it. But all in all, like I said, I gave it a 7 out of 10. It's still a great controller. It still functions as it should. I felt like I had a little bit of issues in the beginning, especially when I was playing ukulele, when I was doing the rolls, holding the ZR. If I don't hold it down like pretty hard, like, Yuka would stand up a lot, and I don't know why. So I'm curious as into if that was just like a one-time thing. I haven't been able to replicate it. So very interesting. But nonetheless, I've been playing handheld mode in this thing. My wife has used it for her to play Dreamlight Valley. My kids have used it, and my oldest son, he says that it feels comfortable too. So testing this with people that are a little bit shorter than me, as well as have smaller hands than I do, and they say that it's comfortable. It's a comfortable device. It, like I said, it functions properly. It does everything that Nyxi said that it's supposed to do. It's just that price needs to come all the way the freak down, along with fixing this centerpiece. So with all of that being said, I appreciate you all for kind of taking the time to listen to this little itty bitty short review. Nothing crazy, nothing too detailed. But yeah, this is the Hyperion 3 joypad. So Nyxi, can you fix some of the issues? I'll send them your way as well to get some of the stuff resolved. But all in all, great controllers, but the prices just need to come down. So with that being said, it's been your boy Jack. Catch y'all later. Peace.